listening to Full Circle Weekly News. These articles are compiled by Eric the Unready. I'm your host, Moss Bliss. This is episode 374, covering week 27, July 1st through 7th of 2024. Theo Durat made a change to the OpenBSD current code base, building toward the next major release, which was to remove the DHCP client DHClient. Instead of DHClient, he suggested the always-running background process DHCPleased, which shipped with OpenBSD 6.9 and uses the ifconfig utility to enable auto-configuration of the network interfaces via DHCP. Starting with OpenBSD 7.0, the DHCPleased background process was enabled by default, and the DHClient utility was made an option. The developers of the free web browser Ladybird announced they have received a donation of $1 million. The donation was provided by Chris Wanstrath, co-founder of GitHub. The Ladybird browser was previously a component of Serenity OS. In June 2024, Andreas Kling decided to separate the browser project from the operating system project and devote his time entirely to its development. According to a post on the project's website, Wanstrath and his family have decided to donate $1 million to the project to further fund development because they believe in the need for an alternative project in the browser market that is not funded by Google in any way and does not rely on the technology stack of Google Chrome or any other browser. The development team consists of 4 people, including Kling, who are employed on a permanent basis, and they plan to hire 3 more. The project is focused on supporting Linux and Mac OS operating systems. There are no plans to release a version for Windows yet. The first alpha version is scheduled for release in 2026. Oracle has created a new branch of MySQL DBMS version 9.0.0. MySQL Community Server 9.0.0 builds are prepared for FreeBSD, Mac OS, Windows, and all major Linux distributions. MySQL 9.0 is classified as an innovation branch, which will also include the 9.1 and 9.2 releases. Innovation branches are recommended for those who want early access to new functionality, are published every 3 months, and are supported only until the publication of the next major release. After the release of the 9.1 branch, support for the 9.0 branch will be discontinued. In about a year, they plan to create an LTS release, which will be recommended for implementations that require predictability and long-term unchanged behavior. Fedora Workstation 42, scheduled for release next spring, will add components to collect and send metrics that will allow them to study the real preferences of users and take those into account when making decisions related to the development of the distribution, determining development priorities, and improving the user experience. By default, telemetry collection will be disabled and can only be activated by explicit user action. There are plans to provide separate options to enable telemetry collection on the local system and sending it to Fedora servers. The user will also be given the ability to view statistics collected on their system and remove telemetry-related components. To maintain confidentiality, they plan to collect only general metrics that do not allow identification of an individual user. For example, metrics will not cover information such as IP addresses, email, open sites, and files. To send metrics, they plan to use the ethical telemetry technology Azafea, developed by the Endless distribution. Apache HTTP Server 2.4.61 is available, which includes a fix for the regression change that caused the vulnerability CVE 2024-39884, which allows one to view the code of scripts that are configured to be processed using the add type directive. Cozy Stack 0.8.0, built on Kubernetes, was published. The project is aimed at providing a ready-made platform for hosting providers and a framework for building private and public clouds. The platform is installed directly on servers and covers all aspects of preparing infrastructure for the provision of managed services. Cozy Stack allows you to run and provision Kubernetes clusters, databases, and virtual machines. The platform code is available on GitHub and is distributed under the Apache 2.0 license. FreeRDP 3.6 has been released, offering a free implementation of the remote desktop protocol based on Microsoft specifications. The project provides a library for integrating RDP support into third-party applications and a client that can be used to connect remotely to the Windows desktop. The project code is distributed under the Apache 2.0 license. Jason A. Donenfeld introduced patches that significantly speed up the collection of random numbers from the WireGuard system via the getRandom function, implemented through the corresponding Linux system call. The advantage of this solution over using /dev/random or /dev/urandom is that it is not susceptible to file descriptor exhaustion attacks, which can result in uninitialized and non-random cryptographic keys. The proposed optimization is based on the use of the VDSO, or Virtual Dynamic Shared Object mechanism, which makes it possible to move the system call handler from the kernel to user space and avoid context switches. In the case of getRandom, the implementation of the system call associated with this function is designed as a VDSO, the code of which is preloaded into the process address space directly by the kernel. This approach made it possible to speed up the production of random numbers in some situations by 15 times or more. Linus Torvalds expressed doubts about the advisability of including the proposed optimization in the kernel, since, if necessary, applications can use similar implementations on their side without external manipulation through VDSO. Jason Donenfeld explained that substitution through VDSO is necessary because it is important to ensure that the algorithm for generating pseudo-random numbers works identically in implementations running at the kernel level and in user space. Torvalds agreed that there was a point and moved on to discuss the technical issues that need to be resolved in order for the patches to be accepted into the kernel. The GNU PG 2.5.0 toolkit is presented. It is compatible with OpenPGP, RFC 4880, and S/MIME standards, and provides utilities for data encryption, working with electronic signatures, and key management and access to public key stores. The project code is written in C and is distributed under the GPL v3 license. GNU PG 2.5.0 is billed as the first release of a new code base incorporating the latest changes. GNU PG 2.4 is presented as a stable branch optimized for general use. Fuyin 0.5 has been published, which is aimed at providing ample opportunities for customizing and adapting the program to your preferences. The user is offered a set of widgets with various modes for managing your music collection and playing music. Additional features can be added in the form of plugins. To customize the interface, a special mode for editing is offered, allowing you to affect the layout of elements on the screen. The project is written in C++ using the Qt library and is distributed under the GPL v3 license. Ready-made packages have been created for Fedora, Debian, and Ubuntu, with a Flatpak in the near future. The new version adds support for Q files, the ability to import/export playlists, and an output mode that displays thumbnails of album covers. Support for creating plugins for parsing tags and decoding audio formats has been implemented. In file navigation mode, the last open directory is remembered. You've been listening to Full Circle Weekly News. For more details, see the next issue of the magazine at fullcirclemagazine.org or check the links in the show notes. You can contact me at bardmoss@pm.me. I'll see you next week.